Are we live?
Well, I can't.
Did you finish taming all the animals, Jen?
No, it's like they're running all over the place. Good morning.
What's going on, people? Good morning. How are you doing, Jen? It seems like you got
Yeah, it's my house is a little bit of crazy right now, so I'm trying to. Buddy's helping me out a little bit, but I'm trying to like get everybody where they're supposed to be. So I'm here. We're good.
Yes, we are all here. We are all present. What's going on, NoBS tribe? Let us know where you're at. We got Mr. Jim Guntorius says coming in from the usual spot on the deck, getting ready for LCI Congress
Next week, you get to hang out.
Man, we're gonna get to hang out with all the people next week. I'm super
all the cool
excited.
Kids. Yes.
Have you done all your packing yet, Jen?
No,
No.
It'll get it done. I got some stuff already being sent up there, so Jeremy's helping us out a little bit.
Oh man, you know what? Like Jeremy Atkinson
Yes.
has that boy has been carrying some load, like not just for Congress, not just for work, but he's helped us out receiving the books for the book signing that we're having Wednesday, creating new ideas. There's gonna be an oyster shuck on Thursday. Like that boy been loaded, man.
And he's kind of like the one that's led the unconference, which is like a whole nother track that they're rolling out at LCI next week. So that's like his brainchild. Like he's kind of helped lead that. So
so I owe him. I'm gonna get him some beignets. And you know what I'm gonna do? Because I'm so nice, I am going to all the calories, I'm gonna take them out of his beignets and I am going to hold them because I love him so much. He's done so much for us.
That's awesome.
So folks, thanks for joining in. If you're new, drop a blue heart in the chat so that we can give you some love, so the NoBS tribe can connect with you and follow you and support you as we go forward. We're going to be talking about you're not the boss of me.
Yes.
But before that, we got to give some love to the tribe members.
Yes, absolutely.
So we got Miss Leslie.
Leslie's one of my new connections, and she's amazing. You have to go follow her content. It is amazing.
Okay, Les, I will follow her. I will follow you.
Yes.
Here we go. Mary Allison. What's going on, Mac? How you doing, sister? Here from Greenville. Sorry I flaked on the Skilled Trades Alliance board meeting yesterday, but we'll get caught up. I know we will.
Sure, maybe we'll see her next week.
Ooh, that would be nice. Come on, girl. Come on down to New Orleans. Miss Holly Totten.
Good morning.
Folks, if you're flirting with the idea of writing a book and you've been stuck for like 10 years, you need to follow Holly. Holly's got it going on. She can help you with like my favorite part, which is like the technical editing.
That's my favorite part.
And she can also like help you get your idea out of your head and get in the flow so that you get that bad boy going. So you need to follow Holly. She's amazing. Mr. Terry Proffer, what's going on? Man, we got a bunch of people.
Yeah, I got to see him a couple of weeks ago. We did a local LCI DFW event, and he was there, so it was cool.
Man, you're always bragging. James Gable, what's going on, Mr. Gable, the uncommon communicator? Man, they've been putting out some really great stuff.
Really good content.
You got to check them out. The podcast, Uncommon Communicator. Mr. Bruce coming in from NYC. He's ready to soak it all up, and I'm sure he's going to be on the after party. Ooh, damn, I didn't even set up the after party. Got to get that set up. We got Mr. Cade Keys.
Yes, so those of you, follow him. Give him some love.
Yes. I got to meet him and his team. Cade, I appreciate the time that I was gifted with your team. It was amazing. So thank you for that. LinkedIn user, I think that is Tanya. Let me check.
Okay.
Hi all. Find out. Well, yeah, there it is. No, that is Jacqueline Grant. So for some,
Jacqueline, she's a new connection of mine too. So I introduced her to you. So yes, welcome, Jacqueline.
Welcome, Jacqueline. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I'm being a dummy. Kate, he's putting the blue heart. So first timer, right? Hit him up, support him, because that's what we're here to do. Oh, look, does this look familiar? Kirby Codes.
Yes.
So there's been this whole thing about like Team Jen and Team Jess. And like Kirby made me promise I would do this. So this is not on me. This is on Kirby.
Okay. Oh gosh, y'all are full of it.
Yeah.
That's okay. Buddy and I are planning something, so it's okay. It's okay.
So we had a NoBS in San Antonio lunch yesterday. Tanya, Janet was there, Kirby, Brian Winningham, and they all confirmed that they are Team Jess.
Okay.
And then we even found this. Some evidence of Jennifer saying, is it too late to switch to Team Jess? Like, busted.
I don't have to evidence. I don't even have to do all that marketing. It's okay. I got people coming to me going, Jennifer, hey, just so you know, like I'm on your team. So we're fine. I'm not worried about it.
I love it. I love it. Miss Dana Pearson, how you doing, sister? It's been a while. Glad you're doing well. Glad to see you back. Good morning from Atlanta. Let me see. I can figure this out. That's Jacqueline.
Okay.
We got a bunch of Colton Harlett coming in from Dallas. How you doing, Colton?
Good morning, Colton.
Man, I like that yellow background. That makes it pop.
So
that's
Jacqueline, awesome. Go back up. So Jacqueline's not showing up on ours, but she is on LinkedIn, and so go follow her and connect with her because we have a blue heart. So this is her first time on the show.
Yes. Look at that. We got Thomas coming in from North Carolina. We're gonna hang out for sure. Oh, y'all
Thomas is gonna talk to me, he said. I'm so excited. There's a backstory there.
So Thomas just did not his first live stream. We did a live stream like Wednesday night when we were in Phoenix, kind of talking about the podcast that he and I are doing, the collabo session on the goal. Man, I'm in the middle of editing the third chapter of the third installment. It's good. It's so good, but it's long. But anyways, y'all keep an eye out. The Gold Collabo Session book review.
Yeah. If you haven't done it, if you haven't followed or at least watched the first one, you need to go do that and just listen to it on your run, on your way to work, because Jesse and Thomas are like the bomb, and Thomas is just laying nuggets after nuggets after nuggets.
Oh my God, he's dropping it. I'm just like pushing buttons. Like I'm not really doing anything. We got Chris Beltran coming in from the DF.
You see all these DFWs? We're gonna have the most amazing NoBS tribe lunch ever.
Do it. Well, we got pictures. Remember, pictures.
Oh, you don't have to worry.
Dance.
Yeah,
mandatory. Janet, got to hang out with her yesterday. She's listening in from the job side, building the cloud. And yes, it was a wonderful lunch, Janet. You're awesome. Oh, Sebastian is coming in from the Construction Wellbeing Initiative from New Jersey. I was on listened to a webinar that they had. It's all right like our love language, right? It's about well-being, and they've got a website to upload resources, content creators around well-being and wellness, mental wellness, suicide prevention, like all of the important things. So thank you, Sebastian, for showing up. Appreciate you, brother. Jim says, love you both.
He did already say, though, on social media, I believe that he was Team Jen, but I'm just going to say that.
Yeah. You know what? I love everybody anyways. You know, people are confused. That's okay. Team Adam.
Kirby's like, I'm not playing this game.
I love it. Miss Regina, good morning, Regina. Coming in from Simpsonville, South Carolina. Oh, poor Regina. Like all this stuff about what's going on in New Orleans, it's fake news. Just ignore it. There's nothing happening over there. Look at this. Buddy is being tortured right now at the Wiley Production Center. What is the Wiley Production Center?
So Buddy's helping out with some home issues that I'm having. And so he's here and he has to get it started before he can jump on. So he is jumped on, obviously. So he got the electrician started. Nice. Got some stuff going on in the background here.
Buddy is awesome. So far we see all the family coming in from LinkedIn. Love y'all. Thank you very much for being here. I know there's folks out there in Facebook land and YouTube land. So drop a comment in the chat so we can know you're there. We want to recognize you. We want to connect with you.
And we do want to make a point. Adam's on an airplane. So you're doing multitasking today. So I need y'all to help me keep Jesse focused in the conversation because he loves to get distracted in the comments and then put all the focus on me. So questions in the comments, please just direct them to Jesse.
Huh? What'd you say?
Exactly.
You're not the boss of me. So I guess we'll start talking about this.
That's a great idea.
We gave a little teaser yesterday evening on the NoBS pop-up about what the subject. Did you notice this?
Oh.
What?
Yeah. I don't have one of those.
Mm-hmm. Coffee tastes so much sweeter in here. So the title of this session is "Yo, Not the Boss of Me," and the thinking behind it is self-accountability. Did I get that right, Jen?
Yeah. So you and I were talking based on our follow-up from the Clubhouse conversation last week and kind of a carryover. And we're like, what? We kind of bounced around ideas for this. And we got to the point to where we thought, you know what? We're talking a lot about self-care, the things that we, are doing for ourselves. And then the topic came up like, really, it's about that self-accountability. So it's not just saying things, but doing it. And then we're like, yes, that's exactly the topic. That's what we need to do. And then you created the banner. So how about you give a little background on how does self-accountability lead to you're not the boss of me?
Well, before I go there,
okay,
the superstar, right? Jared,
yes.
Like I swear, you and I have both planned things.
Yes.
And he's doing it like on a national scale, local scale, little small community with the NoBS tribe scale. And I just envision him like Atlas, right? Like carrying the world on his shoulders. So Jeremy, bro, love you, my man. Appreciate you for everything you're doing. You say you wanted to drop in and say hi. So, first, everybody, you got to follow Jeremy because that boy got game. He's going to catch up later. He's getting all prepped up to see everybody in New Orleans next week. When you see him, give him a hug. I think that's what he means by don't be shy. And we're all going to have fun hanging out with all the ballers, man. Thank you, Jeremy.
If you want to know a little more about him and next week and Tom for what the event is, Felipe has a EBFC a podcast, a live podcast that he recorded with Jeremy and Tom talking about next week, but you get a good flavor of the two of them and how they interact and just everything they put into planning for next week. So it's a good
one. Check them out. So back to the question of how I got to you're not the boss of me from
self-accountability.
I'm just super creative, Jen. Like, what can I say?
I'm learning that.
I'm a creative mogul here. No, the self-accountability thing, it's an important element of the way I operate, right? So some of us have read Extreme Ownership, and the thinking there is I contribute to every win and every loss I experience. Every success and failure that I'm a part of, I have contributed to some degree. And it's very easy for me to blame other people or hold other people accountable. But I contributed too. And so when I look at it from that perspective and say, wait a minute, this is what I did or didn't do. So this is my contribution to the success or the failure. That's me holding myself accountable, right? I made a commitment. I am accountable to the commitments that I make. And so that's where I was in. And then I said, well, let me do something really silly and fun. And said, you're not the boss of me. And the reason like that comes out because I think a lot of us have heard you're not the boss of me. This type of like kids, right? Kids say it all the time. I used to say it all the time. And that's the truth. Like I've, let's say you probably know I'm a little bit of a nonconformist, maybe a little rebellious once in a while.
What?
And I've experienced a lot of punitive experiences, right? Of me, punitive consequences. I've done stuff by not following the rules, by not adhering to what was the expected behaviors. And there was a punitive consequence. And I didn't care because I didn't make a commitment to whatever that rule was. Mm-hmm. And so the result of that was I got in trouble. And so what? Like I was prepared. I knew what the consequences were. I made my decision. I got caught, and then I got in trouble. And so it's that sort of thing. Is like that's where the idea of you're not the boss of me comes from. Is because you can lecture me, you can get after me for showing up and wearing my fishnets Wednesday, but guess what?
I'm wearing fishnets on Wednesday.
It ain't phasing me because you're not the boss. Because I made a commitment to myself, and ultimately I'm going to hold myself accountable. I take risks. I'll push boundaries, and I'm prepared to deal with the consequences. And nobody can really, there's a thing I used to say, and I've known a lot of people in my space say this, like, you made me angry. You made me XYZ. And it's like, man, I'm really not that powerful. Like, I don't make you do anything. And so, like, that's the inverse of it, in that you're not the boss of me, and I'm also not the boss of you. Like, we are capable, talented, immense beings, and we have the power to choose. And so we can choose what commitments we're going to make, what behaviors we're going to display. And it has to start there. Now, I also want to say, like, I haven't always been in that mindset. Miss Leslie brings a beautiful comment, right? She says, yes, we are what we do, not what we say we will do.
Yes. We talk about that a lot on, the talk, saying things and but it's like, where's the action that goes with it?
Yeah, we got to demonstrate it. And so I guess ultimately, to wrap it all up, it's about the taking ownership of my contribution to the good, the bad, and the ugly, and demonstrating the behaviors I seek. That, like, for me, that's the ultimate definition of self-accountability. And it gives me the power to experience, like, this amazing life that I'm living right now.
Yes.
Like, without all that type of thinking, that understanding, I would still be floundering around complaining about how the world is unfair and I just don't have luck. I just got bad luck. Does that help at all with my creative genius?
It does. Well, I mean, I don't really have you. I mean, I know where you live, so I'm okay. Yes, it helps me a little bit. Hopefully it helps wrap it up. For me, I think what you just said and I want to dig into it a little bit, is the good and the bad. And you said, we have to have that. We have to have that self accountability, and that how we contributed. And it's so easy for us when things are like going great or something, a win, a success, and we're like, oh yeah, I played a part in that. I did that. Like I made, I got that person here, and I've been in part of those conversations to where, like, there's something there, and it's like, oh well, that wouldn't even have happened if I didn't do that. Like it's easy for us to, like, the part I played in it. But when those conversations are a fail, or a mistake, or an error, or a delay, or a decision, all those things that play into things in our industry, you don't see people so much going, oh yeah, that's because I didn't do this and didn't make that call and didn't make that decision, and then it went to the next day. Like, we don't hear that on the other side. And again, that's human nature, but like, we're just as accountable to those also. And the more of those conversations we can have, and we can make it more normal and more transparent, then it's not taboo to go, that's my bad. Like, I did that, and here's what I can do now to help that, or here's what I can do to make sure that doesn't happen again. Those are the things we talk about in our space a lot, yet those conversations are super uncomfortable.
Yes. So here's a confession.
Okay.
I still say this. It's not nice, but it's an observation. That whole thing that you described around, I had a part of, like, I hired them, like, people clamor for credit.
Yes.
I was there, like, all of this stuff, right? All of this stuff. And no, I did a little bit more than you did. No, I did a little bit more than you did. But when it gets stinky, they start separating themselves. and this is a really unfair observation. But that was my definition of executive behavior. Like a lot, man, this is just because of not all of them, but a large number of executives that I've worked with, that I've seen in my careers. When something's going great, man, they're going to pump you up. They're behind you. Yeah. They're going to lead from the front, right? Take up all the airtime and then give you 5 minutes of time. And then when it gets funky and it starts sliding a little bit, gets really uncomfortable, they start creating space. Mm-hmm. And now they don't want to take you. It's me versus you. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that all executives are that way. And I'm also not saying that it's okay to be that way.
Right.
But, something I learned when I was in my 12-step meetings is you can't take credit without taking responsibility.
Say it again. Say it again.
You cannot take credit without taking responsibility. The inverse is also true. I can't take responsibility for other people's shortcomings and failures without taking credit for all of their wins. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's a balancing tool around, if I'm going to take credit, I gotta put in some work. I got to mm-hmm. put in some time. Right. And I got to take credit for the whole bag. Not just the shiny part, not just the highlight reel, the whole bag. Again, that's a demonstration, I think, of extreme ownership. And we got a little comment here that says, heads up, Extreme Ownership is available as a free audiobook on Spotify. Sharing resources in the comments, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
And so, but those of you that are in the comments, and some of these names we know, some of them we know are new today. We had multiple blue hearts this morning, which is exciting. Amazing. Please go in there, follow them, start the conversation with them so they understand what this tribe does and how we support each other, because that's going to be part of our conversation later on too. So yes.
Oh yeah. Jen's already got homework for y'all. I was like defending y'all, say, no homework, Jen. It's the weekend. And she said, shut your mouth, boy. We're giving them homework.
You're not the boss of me.
Oh my goodness. So let's go to the comments, because we got some good stuff.
Got lots of stuff in there. Yes.
Let's see. I'm going to go to Miss Carol Del Vecchio, who, another one, you need to follow her. Amazing, full of passion and spirit, and give a damn, like straight up give a damn. She said, true leaders must often not follow the rules to make change. Real life, if you truly want to see things improve. What do you think about that, Jennifer?
Well, I concur. I agree. I think it's a balance, and I talk about this a lot. It's a balance. We can't go, I'm a rebel, I don't care about the rules. But we also, if we live in our comfort zone in this box of somebody else has created it and we have to live within it, that we also can't live there if we're going to make change. And so for me, it's the balance of the compliance part, because there are speed limits and there are rules and there are things we have to follow, and we understand that. But we also know there are also opportunities where we can push it and we can get outside of what's comfortable for us, because it's something bigger and we can see change and we can know that it will improve something. And so it's being able to find the balance of those two places. And sometimes it's more compliance. Sometimes it's more, hey, I can push this because I know it's going to be better for the human being on the other side.
Yes. And so in the pushing and the challenging and like the bobbing and weaving we got to do for that sort of thing, there's some self-accountability there.
There is.
So
yes.
Go. Say it.
So how this resonates with me is, if you can't tell, emotions are a big part of who I am, and it's hard for me to contain them. And the joy and the happy and the energy is there a lot, almost all the time. And there are times when sometimes things happen and in my life and in the things you and I do, and I get angry and I get frustrated. And it's so easy because all of my stuff lives like out in the open, transparent. Everybody sees everything, that like I have to put myself in check, because at that point, and you said it earlier, and I think this is super important because I tell my girls this. I have an 11-year-old and a 14-year-old, 14-year-old, and they are in the mode right now where everything impacts them. And it's mad, angry, frustrated, not fair. And we have to sit, we have to have that conversation. Jesse, you said it earlier, is okay, who's controlling this right now? If somebody's done something and you are hurt or you're mad, then they're controlling you. Mm. And so right now, who's in control? I'm in control. Well, if you're in control, then how are they making you feel that way? And so we have to talk through what was the situation, what caused it, what can you do to change the way you feel? And now looking at it bigger in the way I live in my life is it's hard because I'm so passionate about the things that you and I do, but also passionate about the people that are around me and how can I continue to elevate them, that when things happen that maybe, it's a detour or it's something that puts it off the plan that you and I talk about, my first response is anger, angry because how are you stopping something that we know could be good and we know can make things better? And I have to put myself in check and go, okay, here's what I have control of. And here's things that I don't have control of. And if I allow those things to continue to feed into me, then I will live in this space and do no good for anybody.
For you or anybody. Janet, I don't know if you can do this, but she showed us a little picture. It was a beautiful, awesome diagram of what we have control of and what we don't. Amazing. Oh man, girl, if you get a chance, try to upload it in the chat here. It's brilliant. It's super brilliant. And Carol,
that's hard.
Yeah, she's bringing some gold today, and I really like this one. The phrase is, the handle is on the inside. What do you think about that? That's gangster right there. Because the handle is on the inside, right? I guess there's another book that I read, and this one is probably the most pivotal book that I've consumed, because it really did. It's one of those, in the trajectory of my life, this is like a critical point. And I think I read it before I read Extreme Ownership. It's by Viktor Frankl, who was a Holocaust survivor. And the title of the book is Man's Search for Meaning. And what he says is, there is a space between stimulus and response. And within that space lies our power to choose. And the more we choose, the more we exercise that, the greater the power becomes. Oh my gosh. Right? That's not a direct quote, y'all. Y'all already know I jack quotes up all the time. But that's what landed with me, right? There's something happens, and there is going to be a response, guaranteed. But there's a space there where I get to choose. And the more I choose, the greater that space becomes. What do you think about it? I can see you, Jen. You were like, whoa.
I'm just this is just, no, it's because it comes down to, again, Jesse, why are we even here? Why are you and I on this platform? Why did we create a space to talk about things that people don't like to talk about? Why did we do this? We do this because we're passionate about it. It's not just we want to make sure that people can recognize us and elevate us and see the change we're making. Those are not the conversations you and I have. You and I have these conversations on, we started something because we thought, hey, this will be cool. And then that conversation led to more conversations and people sharing and people connecting. And then we thought, oh crap, okay, what's next? And that's what this platform is. That's how it became what it is. And it was purely how do we continue to feed into this and elevate people and highlight people and make it about the human being and have those uncomfortable conversations about things that, are a little bit stinky, which is, how you describe them. And it's so hard. It is just so hard sometimes when that is your passion and that's what you want to do and you want to fill everybody's cup. And then someone comes in and goes, no, you can't do that. Or I'm not going to support that. Or, that goes against and we take it as a personal attack because of how important this is to us. And we have to like stop, and you help me way more probably than I help you on Jennifer. Like, take some time, take a breath, take a step back, and let's look at this and look at it the bigger picture. And in the end, like the only people that control you and I are you and I.
100%.
So there you go. Go with that.
No. I mean, yes, that's what I'm going to say. Yes. So Regina drops this one, and I'm with you, right? It kills me when people talking about pushing buttons, like people have no control over their reactions or behavior. And she's openly admitting, right, coming in with PTSD. I'm with you, girl. Like on this one, the language that is kind of popular now, right? Like trigger warning. Oh, you triggered me.
Yep.
Right? Like, oh, I'm not going to say that it's not a real thing.
Right.
But when I use that language, I am abdicating my power to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of a sudden, hell, it's like, because like I'm a relationship expert.
I do. Yeah. Didn't you write a book?
Yeah. I wrote a book with this amazing woman. Like it's great. I can't make you happy. It's not my job to make anybody happy. It's my job to make me happy. That is my responsibility. All right. And so if you're not happy with me, make a decision, make a call, pull the trigger and make something happen. And I think for whatever reason, for a very long time, I was in a space where I thought, well, being in a romantic relationship meant the other person has to make me happy. No, I have to be happy with the other person. And it's up to me to decide to be happy, and up to me to set some boundaries and have a line in the sand. It's just like, these are the minimum expectations. So, and just that's to let y'all know, right? I'm still making myself happy, and I'm loving it.
Well, I think I'm going to feed off what you just said, Jesse. I think a lot of relationships, and you and I talk about that, the personal side and just the people that we're around every day, is when we're interacting with them, we can have expectations, and it's okay to have expectations of other people. Yes. It's okay to, want somebody to do something. But in the end, like, and I'm going to talk about the relationship part because you and I seem to have, that's a common denominator that you and I can talk about very easily, is when we're talking about relationships and we think about, being in a relationship, a lot of times if we're in one, we stay because it's comfortable and we don't like change. Nobody, change is hard for anybody. I don't even care people that jump off cliffs all the time, Jesse. It's still, change is still hard. And so sometimes we like abdicate and we like, okay, we'll just kind of let that, we'll just give in, or we'll allow this to be what it is. Cause it, there's nothing I can do to make it better, but I don't want to change. And like we do that. And again, it's not just personal relationships. That's what we're talking about right now, but it's at work. It's just, I'm just going to live in this space and be unhappy.
And blame the other person.
Yes. And we've made the choice to stay, or we've made the choice to be there or not. And the bigger thing, we've made the choice to not say something.
Yes.
Because you and I, I care about you deeply because you do not allow me to hide behind any of that. Like ever. To the point to where when I say things, I need clarification. That's not that's not aligned with what we've said, or that you've said that, like, you hold me accountable. And those are not easy conversations because it's easy for us to go, yeah, and then move on. That's our world. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, well, that's not aligned with what we just talked about. And we're about to do this. And like, I need you to clarify. And I'm just like, shit, like crap. What did I thought we were there. And so you like make me have to like put it into words and really hone in on what point I'm trying to make. And then you're like, oh, okay, now I see the connection. Or sometimes you're like, Jennifer, that's like out in left field. Like, what are you talking about? We don't have those conversations. We just don't. We're not honest and transparent and calling someone out and going, that doesn't make any sense. Like, when's the last time you said that to someone?
To their face.
Right. It's not behind their back to the, like, I don't even know what he's talking about. But like I hear you, but I have no idea how that connects to what we're talking about right now. Can you help me?
Yep.
Because it's hard it's hard to do it, but it's even, I'm going to tell you, my stress level goes up a little bit when you do it, because I'm like, crap, now I've got to rethink and I've got to restructure and I've got to be able to communicate it better. What?
Yep.
Communicate it better?
Yeah. Well, and so here's like, how does that, in my head, it's like, let's connect that back to the self-accountability. Yes. Because it sounds like I'm holding you accountable. But on this side of the fence, that's not what's happening. Right. Because for me to challenge you like that, there's risk. Like, I don't want to piss you off. I don't want to ruin your day. I definitely don't want you beating up on me like you beat up on Adam. So like, there's a lot of risk for me when I'm challenging and just being very clear. Like, I'm lost. Like, bring me back, because I'm in outer space right now. I don't know what you're talking about. And so the personal accountability, the self-accountability ability there is for me, my commitment is to be honest with you and to be direct with you, so that we don't start filling those empty gaps with twisted assumptions.
With BS, right?
With BS, right? Because then we start sprinkling in the BS. I've heard of this thing like NoBS.
Right. But I mean, that was like at the beginning we had to say, no matter what, Jesse, we can't BS each other. We've got to be real and vulnerable and transparent. And sometimes they're not going to be the best conversations.
No, it's uncomfortable. But in the, like, it's short-term pain for long-term awesome sauce. Like,
okay, well, I love it. I want to add to that, because I think that's another point that you and I talked about that we want to talk about today, is the importance of, to have the self-accountability, is the people you surround yourself with. And so you and I talked, and so an example specifically to you and I, and then I want the tribe to kind of to share theirs as well, as the people they surround themselves with. How do they help you have self-accountability? And you're like, what is that? So not how do they hold you accountable? How do they help you have self-accountability? And so an example specifically to you and I is self-care.
Yes.
And so I'm going to give my example, and then I know you have some too, because we try to keep each other in check a little bit on that. And it's not that I can hold you accountable and I can make you do the things that you say you're going to do. But one of the things that, we've worked on, and I found some, for me, self-care is being able to go and walk and just have that time away, disconnected from the world, and do, and my goal is to, have a certain, so much time or so, so this distance every day. And that's my goal. And so you check on me, but you also, which was huge, and I don't think you knew it when you said it. One day when I was, on cloud 9 and I was, I'm doing this, everything's rocking and rolling. You were like, Jennifer, just remember, there's going to be days that you're not going to get all that done. You're not going to get the time. You're not going to have the space. And if you just get 5 or 10 minutes in, you're still keeping you're having that self-accountability. You're getting up and you're doing it. And that's okay. And it may not be exactly what you planned, but it's okay, because you're still making that effort. And at that point, I was like winning. I was doing everything that I said I was going to do. But after that, there were some days that I couldn't get it in. But I was able to get up and walk a little bit. And like you just saying that gave me permission to go, it's okay. And I can still do a little bit, and I don't have to beat myself up. So thank you.
Yeah. Like for real, it's okay to be human. I don't think we have a choice. Right. And like back to the whole purpose of the NoBS with Jen and Jess, NoBS Tribe, these conversations, is because we all need a place to like really talk about this stuff. And we got people out there being vulnerable, and I'm gonna come back to the human piece. I want to give a shout out to some folks. Yes. We got Mr. Pete Zeppatella.
Good morning.
Has a brand new website, zepsgear.ca or zepsgear.com. He's up in Canada. Amazing products he's putting out there to enhance the safety of our people out there. So y'all got to check him out. And then we got this troublemaker.
What? He's up this early?
Yeah, he's up super early.
Jake. It's not a good morning. It's like okay, I'm here.
It's like, it's a damn morning. What's going on,
morning, Jake?
Oh man, glad you're with us. And then we also have Kirby dropping some resources in there. So if you want to learn more about Jeremy, check out the Hoots on the Ground podcast, because he also did an interview of him and
That's
Todd.
right.
Yeah, so links in the chat. Y'all check that stuff out. Thank you for that, Kirby. So back to the situation, right? I think it's a human thing, especially for folks like us, right? We're hyper competitive, type A personality. We want to achieve, we want to accomplish, we want to deliver value. All of those things are outside of us. It's not within us, right? And like the crazy thing is we're smart. I mean, you're smarter than me, but I'm still pretty smart. But we seem to forget that if we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't care for ourselves, we can no longer serve others, right? I'm useless to people when I'm not caring for myself. If I'm not getting my sleep, if I'm not doing my journaling, if I'm not getting my exercise and eating like nutritious stuff, my brain gets super foggy and I can't focus. I'm like all over the damn place. And so I need to focus on those things. Now, the other problem I have, and I think I'm not the only one here, is it's pass, fail, win, lose, yes, no, right? Like, so back to your story, you were like beating up, like, man, I'm trying this, Jess, it's just not working. Like, oh, no, time out. Like, this self-care thing is a brand new habit.
It is.
Brand new habit, totally uncomfortable, right? Way out of her comfort zone. And you're going from 0 to 1. Which is the biggest leap in anything. Going from 0 to 1 is the biggest step. Think about what it takes to convert liquid to steam. It's 1 degree. And it's a transformation. But that 1 degree, it's explosive, right? It's a big deal. And so what I was able to observe is you were starting to get down on yourself. Like, no. You made a commitment. That's awesome. I'm going to check on you, see how's it going. Like, just, hey, how you doing on that thing? Because you made the commitment to yourself. I don't lose anything by you not walking, like whatever.
Right.
But
you don't get those extra calories.
Yeah, like, it ain't helping me. I still got this double chin here. I don't care how much you walk. But I could see that you were beating yourself up when you were in actuality having these tremendous wins, and you weren't celebrating the wins. It's like, let's recalibrate your lenses there and really focus on, man, that's a big deal. If you did 10 minutes, celebrate that. If you did 3 days out of the 7 days, celebrate that. Because guess what you used to do? None, right? And now there's courage there because you invited me in on that thing. Right? And you know I'm a pain in the butt. So like, you know the stakes. Like, I'm going to bug you. I'm going to harass you. I'm going to ask you about it. And then you have to, at that point, you can always kick me out. But once you've invited me in, you got to say, and for y'all out there, you need to know, like, you better, I'm not going to, you can do your nice subtle hints and gentle.
You can't like hide over here.
It ain't coming through, man. You need to tell me, stay out of my business. I'm sick and tired of you. Like, oh, like for a week, like there's still a chance.
Yes.
So I'm pretty dense about it. But again, you made the commitment to yourself, which is immense, big deal. But your expectations needed some calibration. And I think that's the power of letting people in so that they can breathe into your life and help you understand what you're actually accomplishing, right? Because it's easy I do this all the time. I'm experiencing amazing things right now in my life. And you know, the thing that bugs me the most, the stuff I'm not doing, right? The things that I'm not killing or like, that's where my brain is. But in reality, there's a lot of great stuff going on. So how you feel about that so far, Jennifer?
Yes, 100%. I think you and I talk about this a lot on the people we surround ourselves with, those conversations, the trust that is there, the vulnerability that is there. I mean, again, it's why this exists. It's why this space exists and why we show up every 2 weeks and why we do what we do, is because these conversations, the ones that we're having right now that are super uncomfortable and that sometimes make us feel good, sometimes make us feel crappy, they are not happening. And it's so easy to hide behind the things that are comfortable and that make us feel good. But because of the people in this space, and I'm not even going to make it limited to you and I, it's the people in this space, the people that have jumped in, they are doing things. They are ballers. They are rock stars. They are leading things in their companies, like in the industry.
Yes.
Like there's not one person that shows up that doesn't just bring it.
Yep.
And like, we know because that's where we live. And those are the things that we're continually pushing, trying to, okay, how can we do better? How can we do better? How can we help people? How can we serve? And that's the space we live in. That's the space that that our tribe lives in. But there's got to be a point to where, like, you can only do so much. You can only control so much. And how much of all of that is you stopping, self-assessing, and realizing, okay, here's what I have to do. Here's what I have control of. And here's what I can't do. Here's what I don't have time to do. Here's what I'm going to have to say no to.
Yes. Yes. So Carol, bringing the gold today, to being authentic is pure, unadulterated vulnerability. It is scary, but it is essential to transparency, right? And I think that's what you and I have. And I think we're part of our mission here is to demonstrate that for others so that we can build that muscle and build the confidence around it and know that we have a community to go back to and engage in. And I know it's still weird to me that this is happening like virtually in the omniverse, but it's happening and it's got to start somewhere.
But it's scary, and I want to be clear. Like Jesse and I, the conversations that we have, most of them you see live. You know, these are there's a lot of times we're aligned. There's also conversations we have to where he looks at me like I've grown a third, ear or something. And there's times where he's saying something and I'm like, well, there are some conversations that aren't just rainbows and sunshine, and that's part of it. It can't be, oh, we're all great, we're all fine, everything's good, so we're jiving. Like, if he doesn't challenge me and I don't hold him accountable and I don't question things, then we're not doing the best for each other.
Right.
And so again, it's a balance, and it helps us get to that place that we're on the same page. But if we don't challenge people and we don't ask those very important questions, clarifying questions, whatever those are, that help people understand, one, we're listening, and two, like we want to know more, or, hey, you said this, but this is what you're doing. Like, we're not helping. We're hurting. And do you want to help or do you want to hurt? And right now, like, even when it feels super uncomfortable and I'm not happy and I just want to like scream, it's because it's so uncomfortable. And it's easy at that point when someone sees someone get uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, everything's good. Everything's great. We're good. Like, no big deal. And then we never go there.
Yes. So for me, as you're talking, it's reminding me of the idea of self-betrayal, right? You read that.
Yes. Leadership and Self-Deception.
That one, that's the book, Leadership and Self-Deception. I remember reading this idea of self-betrayal, and I'm like, oh, that's what it is. And so back to like you and I and me bugging you about stuff. And you're not, just so everybody knows, you're not the only one I harass. And Rachel says, I also appreciate Jesse challenging me to take 5 minutes of self-care. Like, for real. I did it to Buddy too. Buddy, if you're listening, I did. Even that small amount of time provides me with a daily win. A win. Thank you for celebrating, Rachel. And it helps her be motivated and looking forward for more opportunities to add self-care. That's it, right? You start just 5-minute crack in your calendar, fill it, and then fill it, and it grows and grows, and you'll be better for it. But back to the self-deception. I'm sorry, self-betrayal idea is in the moment that I'm like, I'm not getting this, or I need to call Jen and check and say, wait a minute, what's going on? You need to give yourself some grace. I don't have to say that. But if I don't say that, like it's within, like it's stirring, I got to say it. And if I don't say it, that's a form of self-betrayal. That's how I interpret that. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. It's not a big deal. No loss, no win for saying it or not saying it. But that self-betrayal piles up and piles up and piles up. And then it grows and grows and grows. And for me, it turns into self-loathing. Because at some point, if you're not taking care of yourself, and I had the opportunity to say, hello, you forgot to take care of yourself, and then you fall off sick or get bad in a bad way, all that's going to go back to every single time I wasn't courageous and I wasn't vulnerable and saying, hey, Jen, you need to pump the brakes and take care of yourself. So that self-betrayal thing has really helped me help with my vulnerability. Like when I go run and stuff, I'll get a random idea like, oh, I need to call so-and-so. I need to text so-and-so. I haven't talked to so-and-so. And it's so easy not to do that. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll see them, I'm going to see them at this thing or whatever. And then like, it never happens. Now what I do is like, I got an idea to text somebody. I'm going to text them. I got an idea to call somebody. I'm going to call somebody. And one of the things that I heard on that, the webinar I was on about suicide and the mental wellness in our industry, that was one of the like key actions is just check on somebody, ask people how they're doing. Like I know when people do that to me, I'm like, oh, sure, man, well, kind of stinky today. I'm a little stressed. I got to pack and whatever, but it's meaningful. And we have a habit here, like we all, well, maybe not all, I know me and my buddy Noah, we have this habit of like just packing it all in. And Noah says, thank you, Noah, for being vulnerable. He's got a bad habit of holding it all in until he's a bomb. You ever seen anything like that, Jen?
Yes. But that happens in our industry a lot because we're just trying to check the boxes. I've got a schedule. We've got a budget. We've got, manpower. We've got all these things that we're, supply chain. And it's just, okay, how do we make this short-term decision or the short-term fix to get to the next one? And it's that, putting out fires, that's an industry we live in. It's not a proactive planning, anticipating, having the conversations. It's how do we get to the next one? And I mean, again, we're only fueling it because that's what when we're in it and we're contributing to that, we're only fueling that fire.
Yes. And look, Thomas here bringing the science, baby.
He also had one up about rocks and water, and I was like, he's all over the place. Yes.
Oh, I missed it. So Thomas says it's a 1 degree increase, but 1 gram of water must absorb 2,260 joules of heat to convert to steam. Convert that to electricity, it's 2,260. It's like 10 times that. And the point is like, the amount of energy it takes to make the conversion is immense. Well, at least that's what I took out of it, Thomas. Yes. Let me know if I missed that.
Way too smart for me.
I said, I know what the J stood for. Watch out, baby. I've been reading some stuff. So again, back to this self-accountability thing. We've talked about this idea about inviting people in to participate in that. And so Justin jumps in and he says, some of my close friends hold me accountable by calling me out in situations where most friends would agree with you just to be supportive. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Well, again, when you were talking earlier, and this just feeds into it, how many of us tell people, I told you so? Like that. People do. That's a normal thing that a lot of people, I told you that was going to happen. I told you, that person was bad. I told you that was not going to, like, those are things that I told you. I mean, those are just that's what we do. Stop and think about that conversation. When you tell people, I told you so, everything that's happening in that conversation, number one is you've already at some point in your mind or in your thought process identified an issue. or identified something that is important, and you made a comment, or you told somebody about it, and at that point you're off the hook. You're off the hook because you pointed it out, red flags, or hey, that's going to be an issue, that's going to be a schedule, that's going to push us, whatever it is. You voiced it, you're off the hook. So then it comes to fruition and it's right in front of your face. And now you get to get rid of all of the responsibility. You get to place all that blame on somebody else, and you get to sit back and go, still have an issue, still need a solution, but it's not my fault. When you say, I told you so.
Yeah.
But we're not stopping at any point. When you say that, when you're in a place where you feel that you can say, I told you so, you've got to stop and go, if I can say that to them, there was a point before right now that this could have gone in a different direction. That you could have, had a different conversation, made a different decision, that then it wouldn't have got here. So when you started that before and made a comment, think about, why are you doing that? Are you doing it to get yourself off the hook later? Or are you doing it because you're really wanting to make change, or to help somebody, or to make something better? Because most of the time it's us being able to go, I've made sure I covered my ass.
Yes. And I'm going to go back to Miss Carol. She says, grit means dealing with all of it. Walk tall, regardless of the apparent consequences. Time often allows for the dust to settle and attitudes and perspectives to change. Courage is what initiates change. Be bold and smile while you are being bold. And that's it. Like, self-preservation is a powerful, powerful thing. I think, honestly, I can't accept it, but I can understand why somebody would say, hey, man, watch out, that might not go right. And then, I told you so. I mean, it's not really that way, but they're like, oh, I told them. Mm-hmm. Big freaking deal. This happened. Oh my God. Flashbacks. So, one of my ex-wives, I don't have a bunch of them right now, the exes, said some really close friends of mine, after the marriage dissolved, the response was like, yeah, like, I knew y'all weren't going to work out. And I'm like, I've known you for years, and y'all were like with us all the time. It would have been nice if you would have. Why didn't you tell me that stuff at the beginning? Well, but it's that boldness, right? Because I would have been offended, no doubt. Like, if you would have said that at the beginning, I would have said, bro, like, watch yourself, right? What about you and your girl? Mind your own damn business. Yeah, my feelings would, but it would have been valuable to know, right? I mean, nowadays I would have said, oh, well, help me understand what you're talking about, because clearly I'm missing it. Back then I'd have said, man, pound sand. But after the fact, like, that doesn't help anything at all. But there was courage. It would have required courage to go out there and say something like that, because it puts the relationship at risk. And I think, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I always find a way to like tie it back to this courage and vulnerability thing. Is when I'm overinvested in self-preservation, of maintaining my comfort, maintaining all the ooey gooey highlights, my life is less meaningful. And even worse than that, I underserve the people in front of me, right? And if I'm doing that, I am not going to be able to become the promise I'm intended to be. So in order for me to become that promise, I've got to be courageous. I have to share my observations, and more than say, hey, watch out for that. I need to take action. There's reasonable action. Like, I can't go save everything and fix everything, but I can get involved to some degree, or I can help provide some resources, and like, whatever. I can do something. Just throwing it out there, just saying it, that's a good step. Like, if you're not even doing that, start doing that. And then start thinking about how you can help, or maybe ask a question. I see this happening. How can I help you with the situation? What do you think about that, Jennifer?
I mean, yes, but what hit me the most was self-preservation. You said that, and that you said it a couple times. And in my mind, when I think about self-preservation, am I going and hiding in a bunker till all the storm goes away? Versus, am I fighting? And I'm not meaning fighting like I'm about to bow up and, take somebody out, but am I running to the danger? And going into a bunker and hiding until the storm goes away, self-preservation in my mind is one element of that. It's just, let me just protect me. Let me just protect me, and all of that, I'll deal with that when I can. Versus, running towards the danger, knowing there's an issue, knowing there's something that needs to be addressed, and running into it. And there's a chance you're going to get hurt. There's a chance you're going to fall. There's a chance that you're going to screw up, that you're going to fail. But all of those chances are 100% when you're in that bunker. 100% that it's not going to get fixed if you're just focused on self-preservation and making sure that you are protecting you and not at any point thinking about everything else that your decisions impact.
Yes. You're talking about the bunker, and it reminds me of the scene from Grease where they're hiding in that that bunker. I don't know why.
I'm thinking of Twister. You're thinking of Grease.
I'm fixing to start dancing and singing here. So here's a question to the tribe. First of all, gratitude and thank you for helping this conversation along. Y'all brought a lot of tremendous value here, and I know that we're all out there supporting each other. So here's the question. Who's your boss? Who's the boss of you? Ideally, this conversation would have helped reframe our thinking around that, right? To challenge that, or maybe equip you to have this conversation with your direct reports, with your team, with your kids, with your family. But you got to start with you, right? Just like Carol said earlier, like the handle's on the inside. And Ian says, when you focus on creating ownership with your people, it starts with yourself. You have to show up, especially when times get tough, and step in front to protect your people.
That's right? A whole nother element. Bunker, run to the danger, but it's like you got people that you are responsible for. And yes, they have their own self-accountability, but also how are you helping protect them to be able to be self-accountable? That's like next level.
Well, and what I love about it, like the operative word, plural, the operative words is protect your people. Because we just talked about self-preservation and how powerful an instinct that is. And so when people feel protected, they're more likely to get outside of their current state, outside of their comfort zone, learn new things, build new habits. But we've got to create this force field, right? This energy where they feel safe.
Yes.
And yes, the individual is responsible for themselves. But if I'm going to claim to be a leader, my responsibility is to help them feel safe. My responsibility is to provide an environment where they can thrive as human beings. Now, if I'm not a leader, I could sit back there and say, I told you so. But that ain't leadership language. Thomas talks about it on our conversation in the goal. Like leaders lead, leaders do. You make things happen so that your people can grow and develop. Like if Wesley Baker drove this into my head. He's like, you got two responsibilities as a leader for this organization. One is financial results. That's easy, kind of. Two is developing people. If you fail to develop people, you're going to stay exactly where you're at forever. That's the leader. Financial results, that's phenomenal management skills. And both are valuable, management skills and leadership skills. Leadership takes a ton of practice and a lot of vulnerability and a lot of courage.
Okay, so I got two things I want to say. So two things. So one is a question that I need our tribe to self-reflect a little bit on. Number one is, in the next couple of weeks, it's not the challenge, it's just something to think about. is when you're talking and you're having conversations, like take a moment and do a quick, am I being deceitful? Am I talking bullshit? Because you're going to be in conversations to where you're either just trying to get through the conversation, you're just trying to say what somebody wants to hear, you are saying it knowing it's not even true, knowing that it can't happen, but you're just saying it because it's right now going to help with this situation in your mind to get to the next one. And at that point, how can you better that conversation? How can you better that to where you aren't being deceitful? You're having real talk. You're asking real questions. And sometimes those real questions are, no, most of the time, those real questions are super uncomfortable. But can they help the situation get better? Instead of walking away, and we've all done it, knowing nothing got solved, nothing got fixed, and we absolutely are going to be having the same conversation tomorrow.
Yes.
And like, that's huge. And sometimes, it happens at our stand-up meetings. It happens in our weekly work plan conversations, like pull plans. Like, we can just do it. We're checking boxes and we're going to have to deal with this again tomorrow. Or are there questions that can happen uncomfortable and it may not even get everything where it needs to be, but we are helping move it forward. Like, stop and think about those things when you're having the conversations in your mind that they're bringing no value. So it's huge. There's that. And I'll do my challenge in a minute. You can speak now.
I think in Jesse land, like super simple terms, are you water skiing or are you diving deep? Are you just skimming across the surface with your conversations and your questions and your challenges and commitments? Mm-hmm. Or are you going deep, taking a little bit of risk, but serving to the degree that you are designed to serve?
Yes.
And if you're a leader, the degree that you are responsible for serving at. That's,
yes.
Water skiing, it's a good start, but you got to get in there a little bit. Like, there's so much goodness down deep.
And if you're not getting if you're not having to take a moment to think or step back, or really like getting a little bit of like, ooh, my neck is getting a little hot kind of thing. Like, again, you're water skiing. Like, even if in your mind these are normal everyday conversations, if you're not asking that next question and making somebody think a little bit further beyond that conversation, then you're going to have the same conversation again.
Yeah, exactly. Jim says he refused to answer that.
We already know who the boss of you is, Jim. It's okay.
The chaperone is watching over him. I took that one a little out of context, but
that's okay.
It was fun. It was fun. So Thomas, thank you, Thomas. He says, yep, I got it. It takes significant energy to change liquid water to steam. If we're only measuring temperature, it looks like nothing's really happening. But when you look at it, that water it's a roaring boil. And so I want to share that here towards the end, because that's what it feels like when we're doing something new. Like, you already know, Jen, for me, I love that feeling. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is scary. I need to do it right now. And so there's a very, very tight space between idea and action for me. Mm-hmm. But that's what's happening, right? It's scary. It's intimidating. There's all these questions. What if? Here's another thought that I created a hug on it. So keep an eye out for it. I was listening to a podcast, and the guy started like some crypto company, something or other. And one person asked him, like, man, you were creating this when this wasn't even a thing. Like, this was like, what is this voodoo? Like, what was your decision-making process? And he says, well, because it never existed. There were a limited amount of data points I could gather that would indicate this would be a success or could be a success. The rest of the questions I had, there was nowhere to find those answers except for on the other side of action. So the answers that we are seeking that are going to make us feel safe and comfortable, right? and confident about doing the thing, you ain't going to find them until you take action. Mm-hmm. So those answers are on the other side of action. So you just got to do it.
Yes. I know we're wrapping up and I'm not doing the challenge yet, but like, this is exactly the conversation that is, so next week we're in New Orleans. We get to hang out there and do some fun stuff, but I'm also presenting at Congress. And a lot of my presentation is about self-accountability and self-assessments, and also how that turns into something bigger, that idea to action and what's next, and not knowing what that action is going to get you, not already having that planned out and knowing exactly what it's going to do, but trying something new. Oh, this works, this doesn't work, getting feedback, and then continually trying to make it better. Like, that's what our presentation is about regarding data and analytics with lean implementation. Like, so like, but it's everything we're talking about today. When we talk about self-accountability, we talk about self. We work in a construction industry where project teams, there's a lot, of accountability on teams, how they're going to get through something and how they're going to implement something. And even though individual people obviously make up those teams, those conversations like are bigger, and we're not talking about them. And so we really need to hone in on, do we show up with a clipboard and go pass, fail, you didn't do this, you said you were going to do this, this is a safety violation, and then, okay, here's all the things you need to go do to make to make you better, move on to the next project? Or do we really hone in on, we can't make them do something, how do we get them to want to do it?
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, that's the self-accountability as a leader. So we got 4 minutes. Got to remind everybody, if you're in New Orleans next week, it is mandatory. The governor called me and told me that it's mandatory that you show up at the book signing event at Central City Barbecue Wednesday from 5 to 7. Want to take pictures with you. Jen and I are going to be autographing books. We'll have extra books there for you to buy for your family and your friends and all of the stuff. So
Christmas gifts.
Yeah, Christmas gifts, exactly. But man, like, for real, like, just come, because we want to hang out, shake hands, hugs, pics, like the whole thing. The link to the after party is, so the announcement also. The link to the after party today is in the chat on all the socials. So find the link so we can continue this conversation, and we get to hear your take on it or what you want to hear next time, because Ask Bruce and the rest of the crew, usually whatever they recommend is what ends up being our next conversation, right? Yes. So we're grateful for that. And then you had this idea about a challenge.
Yes. So challenge, what? Like, we're talking about self-accountability and that we're the boss of us. So what personal commitment would you like help with? And not that we can help you do it, other than we can nudge, we can support, we can remind, we can ask questions to help you stay on that path. And so, one, Adam in here, please, because we want to know so that we can check on you. But the challenge is over the next 2 weeks before we have another live stream, like, share that on social media so that we can jump on and we can engage, but then other people can see, hey, they've made a commitment, they're trying to do something, how can I help?
Yes.
And so that's the challenge.
Yes. And Christy, if you're listening, you got 2 gold stars because you did it first. She had posted something about taking care of herself and investing more time and some downtime for her. And I asked, like, how can I help her? She said, just check on me. And I checked on her yesterday. She said, yep, I did good this week. Thumbs up. So thank you for being vulnerable and doing that. And for the rest of y'all, like, please, we are here to support. This is a community thing.
Yep.
Like, I know it looks like I'm just this amazing celebrity and I'm doing this for all the likes, but no, we're here to support each other. We're here to grow with one another. The announcement is I now have access to do the live talks on LinkedIn.
How cool is that?
Yeah, super. I don't know how I did it. So thank you, LinkedIn. But maybe the next live stream, instead of going to Clubhouse, we'll stay in LinkedIn, because a lot of our tribe members are already there in LinkedIn. Right. This way, this minimizes the friction for them to come in and interact with us. Closing thought, Jennifer Lacey.
Well, again, this conversation, we can do multiple shows on it. And I think we even talked about a lot of things today that can feed into other things. So my closing thought is, one, realize we all fail and we all, have moments to where it's less than where our expectations are. And that happens to me a lot. Don't dwell on those moments. and realize we're all human and we control how we react to the things that come at us. And don't go and hunker down and just sit there and wait it out. Like, go, okay, how can I right now impact this situation? And it could be an action, it could be a conversation, it could be a question, but like really be intentional on how can I continue to move forward. So that's all.
10-4. And all I got to say is let it go, let it go. Oh, man, thank you all. Regina, I know it's not fair. I promise I'm not going to have any fun because you're not going to be there next time for sure, though. Sebastian says, thank you. Thank you, Sebastian. And Mr. Bruce says, not sure what he'd like the help with, but checking in and chatting might help him get to what it could be. Boom. There it is, y'all. Let's do a little check-in with Mr. Bruce.
Yes.
5 minutes. We will be on the Clubhouse after party. Please
join us.
Yes, join us. And I'm going to get some more coffee.
Okay, me too.
Later. Ooh, ooh, ooh.